Anthony, difficult match. Took a while to break them down and get that goal. Was it more of them? Was it more of your inefficiency? How do you balance it all when you reflect on the first 60+ minutes or so?
Yeah, I think it's. Is this on?
Not clear.
Can you hear me? Yeah. I think it's a bit of both, to be honest. First half, I don't think we were, all of us, coaching staff included, I don't think we probably set the team up in a way that really helped them in the first half. I think we made a couple of changes in the second half where it helped the team. And look, the old cliche of it being, two halves. I mean, the second half was way better than the second half. And then I have to give credit to El Salvador because that, I think coming off the back of a 7-1 win and playing at home, the confidence is high. But they're a tough team to play against. The coach always has a very clear plan of how to have his team play, and they made it very difficult for us.
We'll go to Doug McIntyre, front row, third in.
Anthony, you mentioned the tactical switch, but there was all week guys talked about matching their intensity here in the last couple of days. It looked like they did that more in the second half. What did you say to the guys at halftime? Did you see the same thing? And I wanted to ask about Miles Robinson, also first game back in a long time. What you thought of him? Thank you.
It was just I think the first half defensively, we were like far too stretched, and it's difficult because you get your front two go and start moving up to the centre backs, and they start playing long balls. And then there's a lot of space, and then they win the second balls, and so it wasn't so much about the players being more or less physical. It's just being in positions to allow them to get close enough. So I think second half we were far more compact for the most part, which allowed us just to get closer to them when we put pressure on, and then they went longer. And we won the first ball, and we had players close enough to win the second ball. So I think that was something that helped us. And then I think just through that and in possession, a couple of a little adjustment. Is this still on? Didn't sound like it. Yeah, just a couple of little adjustments in possession. I think it just allowed us to get a little bit more control of the game, and then you build confidence from that. Miles, really, really pleased. Just pleased he's back. Pleased with his performance. You saw moments of the old Miles where he's just so dominant in. Now it's like really loud, dominant in 1v1 situations, and he plays well, and he steps in at the right time, and he just very, very quietly goes about being dominant in his role.
Jeff.
Yeah, Anthony, I was wondering if you could talk about Ricardo Pepi. I mean, it seems like he's had a big window, not only for himself, but for the team as well. Just your thoughts on his attitude coming in and the way he's performed?
Well, I think, first of all, really pleased with him, for him. I know sometimes, when you with his club team, unfortunately not in a great place in the table, and sometimes it can be tough when you're down there and you're sort of at that end of the table. And I think when you come out of that environment, you come back to your national team environment, it sort of gives you a little bit of a break, which I think that in itself helped him. And then I think him coming in is just, I think what we as a staff, we really value him. We love him as a person, as a character. We believe in him, And he's had a good week. I'm just really pleased that he's come in and he's taken his chances. And to be fair, in both games, he could have had quite a few more goals. He's had a lot of chances.
Ryan.
Anthony, a lot of talk this week about the midfield and sort of how you're lining it up tactically and Gio's place in it in particular. You know, you have another game, another data point of kind of what that looks like and how it all works. You know, what did you think of Gio's performance in particular and sort of how that unit kind of handled the first half and then also the second half, like you said? Yeah,
I thought Gio's performance overall, I thought was really good. I thought he was probably, first half, we didn't have the best of first halves, but I thought, he showed flashes of being our sort of biggest attacking threat. And then second half the same. And I think, these CONCACAF games where, when you're playing in the opposition's half and there's not a lot of space between the back line and the midfield line, it can make it difficult. But we believe in him. He clearly has talent, and you see tonight, some of the things he does. He's probably needs a few more games under his belt. Tyler Adams not being here affects that sort of double pivot. He's someone who would have been perfect in there. But listen, we're pleased with him. We're pleased what he's done. We're very, very pleased with how he's been this week in training, and I think we're all just in a position where we just want to keep looking forward.
Second round back.
Coach, Jamie Say from the CBS affiliate here in Orlando. Team USA is now 6-0 in this stadium. I'm just wondering what your take is on the atmosphere, the stadium, and how did you like the work your team got in while you guys were staying and training here in Central Florida?
Yeah, it's such a nice. First of all, the climate, the distance for a lot of our European players. You get to this end of the season where the climate over in Europe is not great. So I think that in itself for the players to come over and get a little bit of sun. The hotel, where we're set up's nice. The training fields of walking distance, really nice. They treat us well. The fields are great. And then there always seems to be a really good atmosphere at this stadium, and so yeah, it's a really good place for us to come on many different levels, and I think the players like coming here.
Not just 6-0, but 6-0-0, perfect. 6 wins, 0 losses, 0 ties. We'll take a couple questions from our colleagues joining from Zoom, and we'll begin with Paul Tenorio from The Athletic.
Thanks, Michael. Thanks. I wanted to ask again about Ricardo Pepi. I wonder, Anthony, did you have conversations with him about coming back into this camp or when he got here, just coming off of that disappointment of not being a part of the World Cup roster and kind of what his goals might have been or what your message might have been to him just about being back in camp for the first time and how you saw him kind of handle that part of it, the mental side of it. Thank you.
Yeah, I think there was a bunch of players that we as a staff we went out and watched them play live. Rico was one of them, and we watched him a couple of times live. There was a sort of a tier of players like Rico that we really watched a lot, and we really had a lot of heavy discussions around. And like I mentioned before, his team's unfortunately not in a good place right now. But one thing we'd notice in his games is that this guy just doesn't stop working, doesn't stop running behind the line. He shows an incredible attitude. And again, like I think I've said this before about players overseas, it's not easy. And he's had his adversity whilst he's been over there, but when you watch him play over there, his attitude's first class. So him coming into camp, we know Rico really, really well, and so he's just had a good. We sort of welcomed him with open arms, and he's done a really, really good job.
Next will be Megan Swanick from The Guardian.
Thank you, Michael. Anthony, I have a question about Weston McKennie. I'm curious to know how you thought he performed over the course of these 2 games, and then kind of bigger picture, what's the role that he plays in this team? And you were just talking a lot about Ricardo Pepi and, the relegation fight that he's playing in the Netherlands. Weston's in a similar situation in the UK. Is that something that you think is impacting his spirit or mentality in camp at all?
Well, when you watch Leeds, I think they're two very different situations. You have a team where Weston's in. Firstly, I will say this. He seems to be getting fitter and fitter with every game he plays. His performances for us, I think, have been very good. Over in Granada, I thought he was really, really clean on the ball. He has moments where he does some really, really good high-level things. How he turns in tight areas and has good vision. So clearly his time at Leeds is helping him. The thing with Leeds is, even though they're fighting relegation, they're still, when you watch them play, they're very much in it in every single game, even against the biggest teams. The difference with Ricardo is that the team are not having a good time, and they're two very different situations. But Weston's been great. Weston's been great in camp. I think he had a little bit of a fever tonight, which was him coming off, and I went to give him a hug, and then I just refrained myself from going anywhere near him because he's having some struggles. I think he was struggling a little bit tonight, flu wise, but he's been great all camp. He's now becoming one of the, it's crazy to say, one of the senior guys in the team, and he's really good to have around the camp.
We'll go to Kyle Bond.
Thank you, Michael. I appreciate it. I wanted to ask you about Sergino Dest. He was heavily involved, especially in the first half. Seemed like you guys leaned on that right flank a lot. He's another one having a tough time at the club level, getting minutes and things. What's your impression of how he's been contributing on the field here in this camp, and what you've spoken to him about as he goes back to his club?
I feel like I say this about a lot of players, but we just do. We have a team of some really good characters, and Sergino's someone that we've seen really develop over the years. Just mature. He's had setbacks. He responds really well, and he's in a tough time in his club situation. I kind of had a chat with him, halfway through the second half, because we weren't sure if he would be able to go 90 minutes just given what he's played, but he was desperate to stay on. And it was that type of game where there was some stoppages, and we were looking at the data, so it wasn't a super high level game in terms of loading, but he was fantastic in the World Cup. His attitude's been first class. He's been great in this camp. He's just a really good guy, very respectful. But I just think one of the things I love about Sergino is when you look at his history, he has these little setbacks with the national team or with his club, and he just seems to always respond. And even coming into this camp and doing what he did tonight, I was really, really impressed with him.